I need you to understand something before I go any further. Before the first word of this is properly out of my mouth and into the air between us. I need you to understand that I have never done this before, not in the way that people say they have never done something before, as a prelude to doing it with practiced ease, as if the claim of an experience is itself a kind of performance designed to make the thing seem more precious than it is. I mean it in the literal and slightly terrifying sense. I have never stood in front of the world and offered someone a song. I have never taken the thing that music does, the specific and unrepeatable thing that music does, the way it reaches into the place below language and touches what language cannot get to, and directed it openly and without the protection of ambiguity at a specific and real and present person. I have hidden behind music for most of my life. I want to say that plainly because it is true and because the truth of it is important to what I am about to do. Music has been one of my most reliable forms of managed distance. I could feel things through music. Feel them at full force at the complete and overwhelming volume that the managed version of my emotional life generally does not permit, while maintaining in my relationship to those feelings a kind of plausible deniability. The feeling belonged to the song, the emotion was the musician's, the tears, if tears came, were in response to art, which is a socially acceptable and entirely unrevealing reason for tears, which is partly why art was invented and why I've spent so many years in faithful and grateful relationship with it. Music let me love without declaring it. Let me grieve without naming the grief. Let me touch the full dimensions of what I felt in the safety of the darkened room with the headphones on or the live show with the crowd around me, diffusing the intensity of the individual response without ever having to stand in the bright light of full declaration and say, "This is mine. This is what I feel. This is who I feel it for. This is the song that is the map of my interior." When the interior is at its most honest and its most exposed, and it's most exposed and it's most completely beyond the reach of the management system that I have relied on for so long to keep the full force of things at a survivable distance. Tonight the headphones come off. Tonight the darkened room and the diffusing crowd are gone. Tonight I am standing in the full light of full declaration, with the specific person the song belongs to present, in my awareness with the complete and unambiguous clarity of someone I am speaking to directly, rather than about obliquely, and I am saying, "This song is for you. This music is the map of what you mean to me. Every note of it is yours. Every word of it was written in the language of you, even the words that were written before I knew you existed, even the notes that were composed in other centuries by other people who never knew you, because all of it, in the accounting of my interior life, leads back to you, points to you, is organized around the gravitational fact of you." Let me tell you about my relationship with music. Not the public version, not the well-documented love of playing bass, not the band years, not the performances and the recordings and the things that exist in the documented record of a life lived partly in public view. The private version, the version that existed before any of it became public, and that continues to exist in the interior even now, unchanged by the documentation, unchanged by the visibility, and unchanged by anything that has happened in the years between the first time music reached me and this moment in which I am trying to use words to describe what music does to me, and finding, as I always find, that words are a lesser instrument for this particular task. The first time music reached me, reached the place below language, the place that the managed version of emotional life does not have jurisdiction over. I was young enough that I did not have the vocabulary to name what was happening. I only knew that something in me that was usually quiet had become suddenly and completely loud. That something that lived below the threshold of ordinary experience had been addressed directly, had been spoken to in its own language, had been found in the specific hiding place that it occupied and acknowledged. Not extracted, not exposed, not dragged into a light that felt threatening. Simply acknowledged, simply met. The way you feel met when someone sees you, truly sees you, for the first time. That is what music has always done for me. It meets the interior self in the interior. It goes where ordinary discourse cannot go, and it speaks there in the language of feeling rather than the language of peeling, rather than the language of proposition, and the interior self responds to it in the way that living things respond to the conditions they were designed for, with recognition, with relief, with the specific and wordless yes of something receiving exactly what it needs. I needed music. I want to say that without embarrassment, though, there is always some residual embarrassment in admitting a need for something, because need implies vulnerability, and vulnerability implies risk, and risk implies the management. A system should probably be engaged. I needed music the way I've always needed the few things that genuinely nourish rather than merely sustain, not as entertainment, not as background, as necessity, as the thing that kept a certain room of the interior inhabited and breathing in years when the room might otherwise have gone dark from disuse. The bass found me in my teens, and I held it with the specific gratitude of someone who has been handed the instrument for a feeling they have been trying to express without adequate instrument for their whole life. The physicality of it, the way the bass lives in the body as much as in the ear, the way it is felt before it is heard, the vibration of it traveling through the hands and the arms and into the chest, that physicality was important. I am a person who has historically had a complicated relationship with the body as a site of feeling, with the full somatic experience of emotion, and the bass gave me a way to feel things in the body that bypassed the complications, that arrived through the hands rather than the chest. That allowed the interior to express itself through the physical act of making sound without requiring the full and managed descent into the emotional territory that the sound was mapping. I played for years, in rooms that were sometimes small and sometimes small in configurations of friends and strangers that varied in their musical quality and their commitment and their tolerance for the hours of practice that separate the learning of an instrument from the actual playing of one. I played with a band, the Dog Star years, this specific and irreplaceable experience of making music in genuine collaboration, of the thing that happens between musicians that has no analog in any other form of human activity, the way a group of people can find each other in sound and produce something that none of them could have produced alone, and that seems, when it is happening, to be coming from a place beyond any of them individually. Those years were important. They were some of the years that kept the interior most fully alive and most fully engaged and most fully capable of the full force feeling that the management system elsewhere was carefully maintaining at a reduced volume. And then music became more private again. The public chapter of it receded and the private chapter reasserted itself, and I continued to live in the private relationship with music that had preceded the public chapter and that continued after it, unchanged, undocumented. The same relationship with the same interior function, the headphones, the live shows in the crowd where the crowd was the permission. The specific albums that mapped specific seasons of my interior life with an accuracy that no diary could have approached. The late night hours with the bass in the hands and no audience and no intention other than the pure and private need to be in the music, to let the music be the temporary abeyance of the management system, to feel things at full force in the way that only music reliably permitted. And through all of those years, through the private and the public chapters of my relationship with music, through the bass and the bands and the headphones and the crowd and the late nights and all of it, I was listening to songs about her without knowing it was her I was listening about. Hearing descriptions of a love I had not yet found in the language of musicians who had found it and could only be properly understood in the full depth of their meaning by someone who had found it too. I was not that person yet, but the songs were patient. Songs are patient in a way that almost nothing else is. They wait. They exist in you as a kind of forward memory, a knowledge of something you have not, yet experience that arrives in the form of recognition when the experience finally comes. And I carried those songs for years, the ones about the specific and extraordinary love, the full-size love, the both hands love, and I felt them as beautiful and somewhat abstract, as the musical expression of something I understood intellectually and felt emotionally but could not yet claim as personal testimony. And then she arrived, and the songs stopped being abstract. Every song I had ever heard that was about the real thing, the genuine, complete, full-dimension thing, became overnight and permanently a song about her. Not a song about love in general, not a song about the feeling in the abstract, but a song about the specific gravity of this specific person and my specific person in my specific interior life. The songs did not change. I changed. I became, in her arrival, the person the songs were written for. The person who could hear them from the inside of the experience they were describing rather than from the outside, looking in with appreciation and longing and the bittersweet quality of beautiful things not yet personally known. My love, I want to tell you about the first time I heard music differently because of you. This specific and unrepeatable moment when I was listening to something I had heard many times before. A song I knew well. A song that had lived in my private relationship with music for years, and the hearing of it was completely transformed by the fact of you, by the presence of you in my life changing the context in which every piece of music was now received. The song was the same. Every note was in the same place. Every word was as it had always been, and it was entirely different. It was different in the way that landscape is different. when the light changes. Not the landscape itself, but the seeing of it, the quality of the seeing, the angle from which T is received, the condition of the receiver. I heard it differently because I was different, because you had changed the condition of the receiver, because the interior self that music addresses was no longer operating in the circumstance of the forward memory, the not yet known, the longing for something that could only be appreciated abstractly, but in the circumstance of the present reality, the known, the here, the specific and extraordinary and completely actual presence of the love that the song was about. I cried. I want to tell you that because I think it is important, and because the honest account of what music does to me requires it, I cried in the specific and somewhat surprising way of someone who has been given something they did not know was available, who has crossed from the country of longing into the country of having, and found the crossing so significant that the body needs a moment to process the altitude change. Not grief tears. Not the tears of loss or pain or the things I've associated with crying for much of my life. Something else. Something I did not have a name for in the moment and that I have since decided to call simply fullness tears. The tears of someone whose interior is so full of the good thing that it needs to express the fullness through whatever outlet is available. The song was yours even then, even before I called it that. Even before I stood in front of you and said the words, it was yours in the way that things become yours, before the ownership is declared in the private accounting of the interior, in the place below language where music lives and where the truest things reside. Now I want to tell you about every song that is yours, not each one individually. I do not have the time and you do not have the endurance for the complete catalog, and some of them belong to the private record that I honor by keeping private. But the categories of them, the types of songs and what each type represents in the larger score of what you mean to me. There are the morning songs. The ones that sound like you in the mornings, the ones that sound like you in the mornings, like the specific quality of the early hours when the day has not yet fully assembled, and the version of you that belongs to that hour, the unrehearsed and completely undefended morning version, is moving through the space with a particular ease and quiet that I find every morning without diminishment. One of the most beautiful things I have regular access to. These songs tend to be gentle, tend to have space in them, tend to breathe in a way that does not crowd the morning but sits comfortably alongside it like the right company always does. They are the songs I hear in my mind before I hear anything else, on the days when I am fortunate enough to begin the day in your vicinity, before the world starts, in the particular silence that belongs to us before it belongs to anything else. They are the songs that sound like your laugh. I know that seems improbable. How does a song sound like a laugh? How does music map onto the specific and completely individual phenomena of someone's laugh? But I promise you it is possible, and some songs do it, and when I encounter one, I am immediately in the experience of your laugh as surely as if you were in the room. The songs that do this tend to have a quality of unexpectedness in them, a note or a change or a rhythmic shift that arrives without prior announcement and produces, in the listener, the specific pleasure of something delightful happening before you had a chance to prepare for it. Which is what your laugh does. Which is precisely what your laugh does. It arrives before the preparation. It bypasses the social modulation of how much joy one is supposed to express and simply expresses the full amount spontaneously and completely and without any apparent concern for whether the full amount is more than the occasion technically warrants. Your laugh always warrants the full amount. The songs that remind me of it always make me feel, for the length of them, like I am in the best company available. There are the songs that sound like the difficult moments, the ones that were hard and navigated and produced. On the other side of the navigation, something stronger and more honest than what was there before. These songs are not comfortable songs. They do not offer easy resolution or the musical equivalent of a pat on the back. They sit in the difficulty and move through it without pretending it is not difficulty, and what they find on the other side of the sitting in and moving through is not a resolution that erases the difficulty, but a depth that could not have existed without it. I hear you in those songs too. I hear us in those songs. The specific texture of two people who take each other seriously enough to have the hard conversation, who respect each other enough to stay in the difficulty until it finds its way through, who have built something durable enough to hold the weight of the honest disagreement and come out the other side with the relationship not just intact but truer. There are the songs that sound like what I feel when I think about the future, not the anxious version of future thinking, not the management system version that scans the horizon for approaching risk, the other kind, The forward-looking kind that feels like opening rather than anticipating. The kind that used to be unavailable to me, that the management system used to redirect away from on the grounds that the future is uncertain and attachment to specific futures is a form of risk. That is now simply what happens when I think about what comes next. What happens when I imagine the years ahead with you in them. The songs in this category tend to have a quality of spaciousness, of room, of more territory than can be seen from the current vantage point, which is not alarming but exciting, which is not vertiginous but energizing, which is exactly what the future feels like when you are moving toward it, alongside someone you love completely. There are the quiet songs, the ones that belong to the specific and irreplaceable quality of the silences between us. Because we have silences, wonderful, unforced, entirely comfortable silences that do not need to be filled, and that I have come to treasure as one of the most intimate things available between two people. The ability to be in silence together without the silence being a problem, without it generating the low-grade anxiety of an unfilled social space, without either person feeling the need to perform the filling of it. That ability is, I think, one of the clearest indicators of the quality of a connection. And the songs that sound like our silences tend to be the ones that breathe, that have space built into them, that trust the space enough to let it exist without rushing to fill it with more notes. These songs sound like trust to me, like the trust of two people who know that the silence is not empty but full, full of the accumulated and ongoing reality of each other, full of all the things that do not need to be said because they are simply known. They are the songs that arrived exactly when they were needed. The ones that found me in the middle of something difficult and provided, through the alchemy that only music can perform, the precise experience of not being alone in the difficulty. Music has always done this, has always found me in the middle of things and provided company, but it does it differently now. Now when the song arrives at the exactly when needed moment, it brings you with it. Because you are what the interior is organized around now. You are the gravity of it. And any music that reaches the interior, reaches it in your vicinity, in the warmth of your presence in me, in the context of what loving you has done to the landscape of everything I feel. My love, I want to tell you something that I have been working toward for the length of this entire speech, and that I need to say plainly and without the support of metaphor. I want to tell you what this song, this specific, impossible to fully describe in words song that I am offering you tonight, actually is. What it is made of, what it contains, what I am giving you when I give you it. I am giving you every year of the private relationship with music that preceded you. All the late nights with the bass in the hands and no audience, all the headphone hours in the darkened room, all the concerts in the crowd where the crowd was the permission, all the years of listening to songs about the full-size love from the outside of the experience, from the country of longing, carrying the forward memory of something I could appreciate but not yet claim. I am giving you all of that because all of that was the preparation, was the making of the person who was capable of receiving you and recognizing you and staying for you. And if the preparation has value, if the years of the private relationship with music gave me something real, something that serves the love we have, then the preparation belongs to you. Its fruits belong to you. Its product, which is a man who could finally hear the full-size love songs from the inside of the experience they were describing, belongs to you. I am giving you the morning songs and the laugh songs and the difficult moment songs and the future songs and the silent songs and the silent songs and the exactly when needed songs. All of them. The entire interior catalog, built over the whole of a life this, was always in its deepest and most honest aspiration, moving toward the love that would make the songs fully real. Toward the love that would transform the forward memory into the present reality. Toward you, I am giving you the bass, the specific and foundational instrument of my private musical life, the one that lives in the body as much as in the ear, the one that arrived in my hands in my teens and gave the interior self an instrument for the feelings that did not have one. I am giving you the years of playing it in the quiet, the years of finding in it the temporary abeyance of the management system, the years of letting it say in vibration what the managed version of my life would not permit to be said in words. All of it yours. The instrument and the years and the specific quality of presence that playing it produced, the being in the body while feeling in the interior quality, the hands and chest and sound quality yours. I am giving you the tears. The fullness tears that came when the song stopped being abstract and became personal. When I heard the old song with new ears and the new ears were yours. When the interior self that had been listening from the country of longing crossed the border into the country of having, and the body needed a moment for the altitude change. I am giving you those tears as evidence, as the most honest possible testimony to what your arrival in my life did to the interior landscape, as proof, more complete than anything words could provide, of the scale of what changed when you arrived. Those tears are the management system failing in the best possible way. They are the full force, unchecked, expressed. They are what your love does to me when I am not watching. When the song plays and you are not there to see, but the interior is fully occupied with you anyway, and the fullness has to go somewhere, and it goes to the tears, and the tears are not grief, but the overflowing of the good thing, the thing that is too large for the container, the love that is bigger than the body's capacity to hold it quietly. I am giving you the music I have not yet made, the songs that exist only as the potential of what loving you continues to create in the interior, the movements and the changes and the notes that arise in me in response to you, and that have not yet found their way to any instrument or any recording or any form more permanent than the living experience of feeling them. The music that your existence in my life generates daily, in the way that some presences generate music simply by being what they are, by having the specific quality of warmth and steadiness and complete and unmanaged authenticity that produces, in the interior of someone paying full attention to them, the ongoing experience of something beautiful being composed. That music is yours too, before it is made. The potential of it, the source of it. You are the source of it, my love. I want to say something now that I have never said with quite this directness and quite this completeness and quite this completeness and quite this completeness in quite this completeness. I want to say it because this everything I have described song, cannot be complete without it, cannot be offered in full without including its central note. The note that everything else is organized around. The note that the morning songs and the laugh songs and the silent songs are all, at their deepest and most essential, variations on. You are the music, not a song, not a collection of songs, not the occasion for music or the inspiration for it or the person I write the songs about. You are the music itself. You are what the interior sounds like when it is most fully and most honestly itself. You are the note that everything else harmonizes around. You are what was always playing in the deepest and most private room of me below the level of the managed version, below the management system's jurisdiction, in the place where music lives and where the truest things reside. You were always playing there in the form of the thing that was longed for before you were known, in the form of the forward memory that recognized you when you arrived, in the form of the full-sized love songs heard from the outside that became, in your arrival, heard from the inside. You were always the music. I just needed to learn how to hear it, and now I hear it. Clearly, constantly, at full volume with the management system offline and the headphones off, and the darkened room opened to the full light of the full declaration. I hear you. I hear what loving you sounds like. I hear the morning songs and the laugh songs and the difficult moment songs and the future songs and the silence songs and the exactly when needed songs, and underneath all of them, organizing all of them, giving all of them their meaning and their direction and their particular quality of rightness. I hear you. This song is for you. Every note is for you. Every word I have spoken tonight is a note in it. Every moment of honesty about the private relationship with music, every confession about the managed version and the headphones in the darkened room, every description of what you changed in the interior landscape and what the songs sound like now versus what they sounded like before. All of it notes, all of it part of the song, all of it yours. The song does not end. That is what I want you to know. The song does not have a concluding movement, a coda, a final note after which the music stops. It continues. It continues in every morning and every silence and every difficult moment navigated together and every ordinary magnificent day that we move through in the extraordinary simplicity of two people who love each other at full size. It continues in every future year, in every future season, in every future version of us that I cannot yet see but that I move toward with the specific and unmanaged excitement of someone who knows that the best music is still ahead, that the songs that are coming are better than the songs that have been, that their interior has more music in it than has yet been expressed, and that the music will only be produced in the conditions that you provide, in the warmth and the steadiness and the fullness of being completely loved by you. The song continues. I am going to keep playing it, for the rest of whatever I am given, for every morning that opens into the unrehearsed beauty of you in it. for every laugh that arrives before the preparation, for every silence that does not need filling, for every difficult moment that finds its way through to something deeper and truer on the other side, for every year that adds its specific and irreplaceable color to the ongoing composition. My love, this song is for you. All of it, always. Completely. Both hands on the instrument, no management system and no darkened room and no headphones and no plausible deniability about who the music belongs to. It belongs to you. It has always belonged to you. I just needed the courage to play it out loud. Thank you. From every room of the interior, including the ones that were locked for a long time and are open now. From the morning version and the late night version and the bass in the hands version and the fullness tears version. From the man who listened to the full-size love songs from the outside for years and who listens to them now from the inside. From the man who found in you the note that everything else was always trying to harmonize around. Thank you for being the music, for being patient while I learned to ear it, for receiving the song with everything you are. This is yours. And everyone here tonight, everyone who has stayed with this long and honest and musically earnest speech, and who has felt somewhere in the middle of it the specific recognition of someone who knows what music does to the interior self, who knows the private relationship, who knows the headphones, and the darkened room, and the forward memory of the full-sized love heard from the outside. To you, I want to say, your song exists. The song that is for you, the specific and complete and entirely personal song that someone is going to offer you with both hands and no management and the full declaration, it exists. It is being composed in the interior of someone who is not yet in your life, or who is in your life, and has not yet found the courage to play it out loud. The composition is ongoing. The notes are accumulating. The music is being made. Be patient with composer. They are learning to play it out loud, learning to take the headphones off, learning to step out of the darkened room into the full light of the full declaration, learning that the song is not worth anything kept private, that the song only becomes fully real when it is offered. When the person it belongs to finally hears it directed at them, specifically and completely and without ambiguity, in the full voice and the full light, and the both hands, everything. The song is worth the offering. The full declaration is worth the courage it costs. Play it out loud. If tonight found something in you, if the music reached the place below language, where it was looking, please subscribe. Stay in this conversation. Come back for the next song and the one after that, because this is a space where we try to offer the real things rather than the managed versions, and that only continues if you are here. Hit the button, be here, and leave me a comment. Tell me about your song, the one playing in your interior for someone specific, the one you have been hearing from the outside that you're ready to hear from the inside, the one you have not yet played out loud but that exists in you fully formed and waiting for the courage to find its voice. Tell me, whatever is true. The music will hold it. This space will hold it. I will hold it. My love, this song is for you. It always was. Good night.